Who is in 5 years going to be the best American men's national team player? I mean,
as 5 years.
Currently playing, right?
Currently playing.
Okay.
Based on the trajectory, who's going to be the best?
Who's going to be the best player in 5 years? So after the World Cup.
Yep.
After the next World Cup.
So we're talking a lot of these young kids are now in their sort of mid-20s instead of their early 20s.
Yeah. So this is a very serious question. You don't want me to be funny on this one, do you?
No, we can go for it. We're always up for funny.
So, let's, you know what? I hate to say it. So after watching, okay, so first off, for the record, I want to be serious for the record, right? I became a Jason Christ fan, right? Which before I wasn't. I became a fan because I think I know what he's doing, and I feel the humanness in the way he's doing it, right? So, you know, I am the Dalai Lama of soccer for a reason, and we joke about that, but I saw something there in Jason Christ. So I'm putting my faith that he's doing something good, right? Now you might say, Simon, that is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard from you. It's the God's honest truth. I really think that the right guy for that job is Jason Christ, and he's doing something good with those kids. Now, let's step back and be the hardcore pundit that I'm trying to be in life, right? I honestly don't think that if you're looking at right now, if I'm looking at any young player, that I can see someone that I can say, well, that guy's going to raise the World Cup trophy for the US. I just don't see it right now. Right now. I will say that in the course of US soccer history, there have been talismans or talisman player, guys that you can say, that guy's a once in a generation guy. So the first one's Tab Ramos. I think he's that guy, right? Yeah. Then I think it's Landon Donovan after that, right? So every generation has that player that I think can take the US into a height that we've never seen. So Tab Ramos, and then we have to wait for Landon Donovan. I really think that it is Chris P that is going to be that player. Now, if we could clone him 11 times, it would be great, but we can't. And I think that we know it's not. I'm not going out on a limb that Chris P is that guy. Anyone else? I think I have yet to see it. I have yet to see that magic.
Bremen has wished that they could clone Sargent.
11 times.
That's to be, yeah. I mean, honestly, Brett, listen.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be there. He's going to be in the front lines. He's going to be the guy that's going to be scoring goals in the future. I don't see it right now. Right? I don't see it right. I don't see it like I can stake my house on it. Right? I don't see it right now.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, are you referring to him scoring goals and stuff like that? Because
I
was saying that the style of play that Berhalter's playing, I see Sargent not necessarily being our leading scorer. I agree with that.
Right. Well, I mean, but then Alexi Lalas was talking about, like Dozy Altidore being.
Let's
right.
Derek's already argued that point.
Yeah, I know. You then say, well, what about Josh Sargent? He's going to be up front as well. I'm like, okay, well, again, I just don't see it right now. I'm not saying that it's never going to happen. There's a few players I think are like, well, are you really going to, are you really going to count on this guy? Like, I always say, like, is everyone really high on Gio Reyna right now? Because, again, maybe in a couple of years, but I just don't see it right now.
I guess the bigger question is who replaces him outside of, say, Weah.
Well, again, I mean, I think with Berhalter, Berhalter, I think, is somewhat of a genius, right? Somewhat. And I say it this way. He's literally taken a big bucket of sludge, thrown it against the wall 50 times, and seen what stick. Like, if someone from the Greg Berhalter team becomes a world-class player, he's going to step up and go, yeah, I gave him his first cap. So in that way, he's a genius. But in another way, I'm like, we really want to see 11 about players.
Pulisic, I guess.
Yeah, we want to see 11 players, world-class players playing together consistently. So I just don't, again, it's Chris P right now. A year from now, I think it's gonna be different. You know, I think it's gonna be very, very different.
It could change. I think Reyna could take the reins. I mean, when I look at Reyna and I look what he's doing at his age, I think he's doing more than Pulisic did at his age at Dortmund. But then I go down the potential starting 11 and I look at Sargent, Pulisic on the left, Reyna on the right. In the middle up top, you've got who am I missing here? Up top, it would be in the middle you've got McKennie, Adams, and Musa. Yep. And up left you've got Robinson. Out right you got Dest. In the middle you got Brooks and whoever can fit with them, and then Steffen's kind of a shoe-in still. That looks like a great team for 2026, I'll admit, but you know, in 5 years, who knows? I mean,
but Derek, weren't you just as high on Aronson?
Sure.
I still am high on Aronson, actually. Yes.
He absolutely could fill that role for Reyna or Pulisic. Pulisic, all depends on what mood either of those two players are in. If they're in their mopey mood that we've seen them in recently, Aronson or Weah could easily step in and take their spot. I'm thinking if I have to pick a single player to say that this person is going to be our big star, big leader, if you will, I would probably say it'd be either an Adams or McKennie, more so than our offensive options.
Yeah. No, I mean, Brett, that's I think the sort of the rub right now. Like if you're saying who's going to be the future, you know, superstars and they're going to, you know, win trophies. There's a lot of them, but there's been a lot of them before that, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, great. And I think, again, well, like I said, Berhalter's essentially throwing a lot of stuff on the wall, seeing what happens. He's giving caps to everyone. I mean, I think maybe you're in the running, Derek, to get a cap. So, I mean, it's going to be something to where I'm like, okay, eventually we're going to have to find 11. And by the way, you don't need 22 superstars. You only need 11, right, to win a World Cup. And it just hasn't happened yet. And I want to sort of
I'd be happy with 5 superstars.
Well, you need 11, Brett.
I'm just saying.
You need 11, right?
But Simon, Simon, here's the big difference. The big difference is these kids are playing at Juventus, Leipzig. Right. They're playing at Chelsea.
Regularly, yes.
Yes, so this isn't the same. This is different. This is freakishly different. Like, if John Harkes could have played anything but Nottingham Forest and Sheffield Wednesday, that would have been awesome. But now here we do have legit kids, and they're doing shit that's never been done before.
Derek, I totally get it. They're playing in these great clubs, right? Not too many in England though, which is a bit disheartening. But yeah, they're playing in these great clubs, and they're playing a lot. The thing that I like about this group of kids is that they are there, right? They're kids. Like, let's really be honest, and I get in trouble for saying this on different shows. You want to create a good national team, just in America, just create potential, right? The coaches in the US, they're not creating superstars. You have to create potential superstars and ship them off to Mexico, ship them off to South America, ship them off to Europe, ship them off to the continent of Europe, ship them off to England, ship them off and get these other coaches to mold them correctly. And this is what's going on right now. But the flip side of that is look at 2002, right? Look at 2002 and how well we did it in the World Cup. Look at who we had on that team. We had players playing in Europe that weren't superstars in Europe. They were rested, they were unknown, and they came out like with surprise on their mind. And on the other side, they were the best American players in the US, right? They'd gone abroad, say, and they had come back. That combination was what got us the surprise victories and the success in 2002. Now we have players that are playing regularly in Barcelona, Juventus, all these great clubs, right? The surprise is not there, right? They're not. Let's be honest. Dest is not the best player at Barcelona. If he goes against his teammate in the World Cup, they got his number, right? So that surprise is not going to be there when we play in the World Cup.
I get it, but we've We've never really had that problem before.
Well, 2002 was the perfect storm. I think that's the key. Now, let's really be honest also. Our young players can't even compete with the young players in CONCACAF. All right? As a team. So, great that we're in Juventus. Great that we're in Barcelona. But we're having a hard time with our young players playing against guys from Trinidad and Mexico and all the other countries in this part of the world. So
I get that, but
we've got to be,
I guess
about it.
I guess I would say we have yet to see the United States national team with all the players I just mentioned together in a game yet. We haven't. We just haven't got to see it. So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I give you full credit for that comment. Absolutely right. We haven't seen our best 11 yet, right? Which should be very exciting for all the US soccer fans, right? We haven't seen the best play together in a great match somewhere. When are we going to see it, Derek?
I don't know.
There you go. We should be excited. We should be excited that there's players out there, and then they haven't been together yet. But let's go back to 1975. Let's go back to Poland. The best players in the US didn't get together until the 2 days before the match, and they lost 10-1. It's not going to happen now. But when are our great players? When the US national team, the great players, these young players that with great potential, playing in these great clubs in Europe, when are we going to see them?
I think obviously we're not seeing because of COVID.
Let's wait for the COVID regulations to end here.
Yeah, that pretty much destroyed everything for last year, and so that's why we didn't get to see them together. And I think the only good news is everybody else is having the same issues when it comes to getting their best together right now. And that goes for Jamaica.
Derek, U.S. national team should be at the Olympics. No one talked about why we're not there. They all talked about how the Olympics is not important after you lose. It's not important after you lose. But why? But no one said, well, why didn't we make it? Why didn't U.S. soccer make it to the Olympics?
Because we played a C team.
I'm sorry?
Because we played our C team, and we didn't even play the best domestic players. I mean,
that was a big thing too. I think that a lot of the player selection may have been the issue there too for what was available to us. We talked about this before the Olympics started, and I had mentioned that looking at the roster, this is a roster that is meant to grind out results. It wasn't meant to blow teams out of the water with creativity and chances. It was meant to grind out 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 results at best. And then come the final game to find out if we qualify for the Olympics, we had Ochoa had an absolute blunder of an opportunity that he gifted Honduras.
Right.
Mind you, we had a really shit first half. Don't get me wrong on that.
Right.
But we easily could have qualified, even given the fact that it wasn't necessarily the best 23 that could have been fielded there, given MLS only, and it wasn't even the best result. We could have easily won with that team. We just it was a shit result. It was a shit performance.
Right, you're 100% right. Should have won, Derek. I'm afraid you're wrong. It wasn't a D team. It was the best team that it was a good team, right? And by the way, I don't want to say anything, but when I talked to someone from US Soccer and I just said, you know what? No one's putting their arm around these kids saying, it happens, right? They're like, these guys are professional. They shouldn't have lost. Yeah, they shouldn't have lost, but they're still under 22, right? 23 years old. But those are the best players, really. The U23, those were the best, right? Now, obviously there were some players that weren't there. They should have beaten the teams that were in front of them.
I just want to clarify that. When I say it's a C team, I mean, this was not the U.S. men's national team A team. It was not the U.S. men's national team B team.
Right.
I'm just saying it was not the U.S. men's national team under 23 D team. No, it wasn't. It wasn't our C team. It was probably our A.5 U.S.
Right.
men's national team U23 team.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Again, I think those matches should have been won by the U.S. national team. Whatever U20, whatever you want to put in front of it.
I agree.
And that's the question that no one was asking. They were saying, you know what? It's just the Olympics. Who cares about the Olympics? I'm like, yeah. Who cares about the Olympics? You know what? Tell that to the U.S. women's national team. See if they say the same thing, right? But again, we got players abroad. We got players playing the top leagues. We got players that are miles ahead of the game compared to the previous generation. All right. So why aren't we winning the games? Why aren't we winning the games? And that's the question I think we can talk about in the next 12 shows and say, well, what's going on? Go down the list.
Not to really dive into that too far.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, again, looking at that squad that went to the Olympic qualifiers, and looking down the road, say 5, 6, 7 years from now, how many of those players are actually expected to be on the U.S. men's national team qualifying for the World Cup?
One.
I wouldn't imagine a whole hell of a lot of them, in all honesty, and that's because majority of we could have felt an entire U23 team from Europe that is playing consistently, or at least sitting on the bench, and could have ran away with the tournament. Maybe still had a competition against Mexico, because Mexico always has our number as far as keeping it competitive and everything like that. But as far as that Honduras game, if we had any number of players that would normally be filled on the U.S. national team playing for that U23 team, we would have absolutely ran the field away with them.
And that's a fair point, Brett. If there were some other players, right? Some other players, yes.
I still think that U23 team should have beat Honduras. Don't get me wrong. That should have been an absolute thing. They had the talent, and they showed it in the second half. Half, they came out, realizing, mind you, they had that second half, the initial blunder from Ochoa at the very beginning. But saying that, they came out and they flat out owned that second half. And I was shocked that they didn't get a second goal to even tie it up. Right. They had so many opportunities, and if they only played like that the entire tournament, it would have been completely different. 100%.
I agree with you. Those lads, by the way, playing, those are kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like how people go, those are professionals, they should have won. They should have won. But remember, they're lads. They're 21, 22 years old. What was I doing 21, 22? I can tell you what I was doing, but you don't want to know, right? Those lads now should be thinking like, listen, we need to send these kids with potential. Thank you, American soccer coaches. You've created these players with potential. Let's send them. Let's send them like all over the world to get the training that they need with the Juves of the world, the Romans of the world, the Barcelonas. Let's get them. Let's put them on the bench, because it worked in 2002. The European-based players in 2002 were on the bench. You want to do it? You want to know another thing that sort of correlates with that? When Greece won the Euros, those players were on the bench. Those were bench players playing in Europe and hardcore domestic Greek players. They won Euros in 2002. The U.S. national team did almost the same thing, right? So let's get these kids now out of America, because most of them are playing domestically. Get them over there, right? Get them outside, playing in Mexico. There was 2 kids playing in Mexico, but again, get them to Europe, get them wherever, and get them coached properly. And when they come back, they're going to be a lot better. You've created the potential, now do it. By the way, to this very day, I'll say they should have won, right? No one's tackling the question, what happened? Why didn't they do it, right? When we didn't qualify for the World Cup, everyone sort of went back and went, why didn't we qualify? And it was all about like, man, we got soft. There was a player that was being carried over a puddle, and that's not the grit of American soccer. Well, the Olympic team, they had the grit, right? They had the passion. They were hard players. Something was missing, and the U.S. soccer hasn't addressed that yet.
Well, there's no doubt that there are definitely things they haven't addressed. There's just, no doubt. But
I was serious for a second. No.
I would also say we are spoiled as hell right now, if you're an American soccer fan, to have all these players playing at all these teams. Yeah. I mean, even Brian Reynolds has gotten 2 starts at Roma. What? I mean, he barely started at Dallas. This is weird shit. But it is what it is, and the rest of the world is watching. They're paying attention. They're coming over.
Injuries in Europa, I think, is what caused that. But absolutely,
I'm
glad to see I'm glad to see him get playing time. Don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking that it benefited him. And that's it.
Yeah. But the whole point is, things we are spoiled. Like people right now, who are watching soccer for the first time or just getting into soccer, they're spoiled because we did not have this kind of goodness back when I was playing or watching, excuse me, when I was playing.